Hello, my dear students. Today's video is going over the first list of vocabulary for the Industrial Revolution. This assignment is going to be posted under the Classwork tab on Google Classroom. You guys have access to the Quizlet list here, and that's what we're going to go over first, just like we do in class when we go through the definitions and underline the keywords. So this list is posted on there for you. I think I'm posting a blank one, and let me see, a blank one, and I will also post mine with the markings on it. So I just wanted to go through these 14 words with you first, and then I'm going to explain your assignment, which is to put them into our different categories here, just like we normally would in class. So assembly line is a production method that breaks down complex tasks into smaller tasks, which are then repeated. So this production method goes with mass production and mechanization. During the Industrial Revolution, we started to see that instead of goods being made by hand using the domestic system, goods were produced through the use of machines, and the assembly line allowed that production method to be, the assembly line made that quicker so that goods could be made more quickly, and then that allowed for the mass production of goods. Crop rotation is the system of growing a different crop in a field each year to preserve the fertility of the land. So this is one of the experimental methods that was used on those enclosure movement farms in order to produce more food to increase crop yield, but also to preserve the fertility of the land. So they would balance it out with like root vegetables and leafy greens and things like that, and change it out every single year, or let the fields rest. The domestic system is before the Industrial Revolution, when goods were produced at home by hand. Our world doesn't function with this anymore. The whole thing that we see with the Industrial Revolution, that change that it brings about, is this really what allows for the growth of our modern world economy that we have today, and in terms of the mass production of goods and where those goods are bought and sold. The enclosure movement is one of the fenced-in fields created by wealthy British landowners who bought up large amounts of land from small village farmers. By buying up these large amounts of land, they are going to be able to experiment with different farming methods like crop rotation and some of the other things that you guys read about in your overview reading last week. An entrepreneur is a person who organizes, manages, and takes the risk of a business. So we're going to see an increase in entrepreneurs during the Industrial Revolution. Many of those inventions and the inventors that you read about last week would be good examples of entrepreneurs. The factors of production are getting to the basics of the Industrial Revolution. It's what you need to produce goods. So land, labor, and capital. So land is literally the land to either farm or build the factories on. Labor are the workers, and capital is the money or investment that you need to be able to start those factories or those companies. Factory is a large building in which machinery is used to manufacture goods. This teams up really well with mechanization, which allows for mass production of goods, assembly line, and how interchangeable parts are produced. The Industrial Revolution is obviously what the entire unit is about. This began in England in the 18th century. Making goods by machine are the keys that we associate here with the Industrial Revolution. Interchangeable parts are identical components that can be used in place of one another in manufacturing. I'm distinctly recalling a discussion from the beginning of the school year. I believe it was in 6-7, and I believe that it was spearheaded by Thomas to talk about the importance of interchangeable parts in terms of production. And this is exactly when this started, was with the Industrial Revolution and the use of the assembly line to mass produce goods. Interchangeable parts allow for identical pieces to be made, so that instead of having to replace an entire air conditioner or entire car, you can replace just one part that needs to be fixed. Mass production of goods is creating the same good in large quantities. Again, those are made on the assembly line, so one worker will do the same task over and over again on that assembly line, which allows for the greater production of goods. Mechanization is the use of machines to produce goods. Standard of living measures the quality and availability of necessities and comforts in society. You guys read about the standard of living in your overview reading, how for some it increased during the Industrial Revolution and for others it decreased in the short term. So we saw the standard of living rose in general over time over that 200-year time period, especially with the introduction of vaccines. But in the beginning, for the working class, standard of living greatly decreased, especially those that were living in tenements during the Industrial Revolution. However, for the middle class, the standard of living increased greatly during the Industrial Revolution, especially because of the large availability of products. So the standard of living just measures like what is, quote, standard for people to have like in their homes and their possessions. A tenement is a building divided into crowded apartments. Tenements were buildings where people lived, especially the working class lived, that were divided so that there was like 8 families living on a single floor. In the tenement, you had basically one room that was your kitchen and your bedroom and your living area. You had shared bathrooms per floor of the building. So like up to 8 families could be sharing one bathroom, one like loo closet. You can imagine how bad that would be, especially when we saw the spread of diseases around this time period in terms of trying to stem that spread. It was very difficult. Finally, urbanization is the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. So this is people moving to those cities in order to get jobs in factories because factories were built in the cities. So your task for today is to organize these terms into groups. So our 5 different titles are industrial production, living during the Industrial Revolution, farming and agriculture, business creator, and non-industrial production. I've made those into a Google Doc for you, so you guys will be working on those in this Google Doc. After watching this video, you need to place these terms in the category that they would fit best. So I've got the titles here for you, and I've even told you how many terms are going in that group. So for industrial production, there'll be 7 terms that you'll put in there. Living during the Industrial Revolution will have 3. Farming and agriculture will have 2. Business creator and non-industrial production both just have 1 term each. So that's how I'm going to check to see what you've understood about this vocabulary and what you've learned here and processed in those terms and in those definitions. If you have any questions, send me an email, and I look forward to seeing you guys in our Google Meets today throughout the day. Bye!